So, the usual questions that I ask you at the usual time, which are, do any of you have any questions about the page entitled page 319, but in your book it is actually page 175. Jeshin, go!
Can you show us seven?
How to do 7? Of course I can. Okay, so it's a little hard to see on my screen, so I'll sketch it in a little better, but I don't think it's as hard to see on your screen. Okay, so graph shows the area. Now, first question says, what is the rate of change? Now, up until now, we have been speaking of rate of change in the easiest rate of change for you people to understand, which is what? Speed. Right, it was speed, kilometers per hour. And you found that by checking out how much you changed on one scale divided by how much you changed on the other scale. Because in speed, kilometers would be over here and hours would be down here. So, like all math, if it works for one question, it works for all questions. So we check. And we see that for every 2 is 18 over 2. So I do 18 meters squared per 2 liters of paint. Now, is that how we would measure a rate? Do I say I go 140 kilometers per 2 hours on the highway? No. What do I say? Per 1 hour. So what do I need to do with this? Oh, wait, let me get my stupid little, whatchamacallit back. What do I do with that 2 while I am finding this? What do I do with that 2? I divide it. So if I've divided half the fraction by 2, what do I divide the other half by? 2. Exactly correct. So, where was I? So, I use 9 meters squared per liter. That's the rate of change. What does it represent? Exactly what I just said. If I want to paint 9 square meters of wall, I need 1 liter. If I want to paint 18, I need 2 liters. If I want to paint 27 square meters, I need 3 liters. What area is covered by 6 liters of paint? 6 and across. And what is it? Right. Because that is 6 liters, so it's liters times 6, so it must be times 6 there, 54. Everybody cool? And then the other way, 45 meters, I go up to 45 and I come across here and I go down, and what do I find? 5 and a bit, right? It's not going to be 5 perfectly, because 45 doesn't divide by 5, or doesn't divide by 6. Right? Good? Score. Anything else? Going once. Oh, it would be 5 perfectly, yeah. Yeah. Going once. I was looking at this 6 when I said doesn't divide by 6. Of course, it's 5. Anything else? Isha. Number 8. Sim sim salabim. The graph below shows temperature. So what is the rate of change? Which graph has a rate of change of 5 degrees Celsius per hour and a vertical intercept of negative 10? Well, vertical intercept of negative 10, well, there's one of them, so it could be 4. And there's another one, it could be 2. Then I have to check the rate of change. So, in this one, when I go this way, I go from 0 to 10, and I go up 10. What is 10 divided by 10? 1. That's not a rate of change of 5. Now let's go to here. When I go this way, 4, I go up from negative 10 to positive 10, 20 over 4. What's that? So that is the one we are speaking of. Okay? Okay. Any other questions? Number 5. Jimmy, bro, I'd already done number 7. Determine the vertical intercept. Where's vertical, Jimmy Brar? Up and down or side to side? Up and down. What does intercept mean? Where it crosses. So there's where it crosses. What number is that? You really needed to ask me about that? Oh, so you need the rate of change. Okay. So I went that way and that way. How far this way did I go? 8. How far this way did I go? From 400 to 1,200. 800. Rate of change is 800 divided by 8, which is 100 feet. 100 feet per minute. And then the domain and range, of course. Domain, 0 less than or equal to minutes, less than or equal to 8. Range, 400 less than or equal to altitude, less than or equal to 1,200. Gouda. Anything else from the homework? Going once? Going twice? Going thrice? I sounded a little like a Muppet there, sorry. What? Do you know who the Muppets are? Really? Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear, nothing? Really? Interesting. Okay, well. I bet it's a lot like the other one. 12. This graph shows the distance line of a dog sled race. What is the length of time it took to finish the race? Pardon? You just want to do D? How long did it take the dog sled to complete 2/3 of the race? Well, if the whole race took 2.5 hours, how are you going to find thirds of that? You're going to divide by 3, correct? And that's going to give you 1/3. Then what are you going to do with that answer? You could add them both together, or you could multiply it by 2. Right? So 1/3 of that, 2.5 hours is 150 minutes, correct? 1/3 of that is 50 minutes. 2/3 of that is 100 minutes. Or 1 hour, 40 minutes. Yeah? All right, time to let in the clowns.
No, the staple or bus.
Downstairs?
Downstairs.
Downstairs.
Staples to that one. Staples to the second floor.
Oh, it was a big down.
It might use the same staples.
I don't know. If it takes the same one,
I'd have to go down and look, but I can't because my class is on here.
I know.
So I have to, I have to do something first, but I'll go down and come on in, gentlemen.
Okay. Who else is missing? Krusha. And is that it? Looks like. Okay. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. You will clear your desks, and I will give you probably, I would say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 questions, and since everybody got like 100% on this, Everybody knows how to do it, so I only need to give you probably about 20 minutes to get it done. Make sure you put your name on it. And I know you all got 100%, so you all know how to do it, so this is just extra practice. I know you weren't told about it, but I wasn't told that half the class was going to cheat either, so we're even. You don't need to be told about this, you've already been tested on it, and you got 100% on it, which means you know how to do it. It's just like regular work. Of course, the other option is I take the whole class down to Mr. Grage and he just throws you all out. Sure. This one's a bit of a pain, Trinity. Remember, if you divide something and it comes up with a fraction, you just gotta hit that S and E button. But you shouldn't need to because there's no need to. There will be no decimal answers on this. Time starts now. We want to talk about any of these. Notice I gave you a little list thing at the bottom to give them a chart. 1, 2, or 3. There is not, one sec, Avian. There is not much point going on to your review if you have any, I can't remember what's the bad one, 1 or 3? 1. If you have any 1s here, then it's going to be hard to do your review, right? So you shouldn't go on to your review if you have any 1s here. Now, if you had a 1 here while I was out of the room and you talked to somebody else and it's now a 2 or a 3, then don't worry about it. Don't pay any attention to me right now. Just keep working, okay? But if you have any 1s, still, you may want to look up here now. Good? All right. Computer's still frozen, though. So, Avian was first, Charlotte, and then you. It may be the same thing. Avian, hit me.
The function notation one, the very last one.
So the very last thing, this is the thing we did yesterday. Okay, which one? Algebra, graphically, or both? Both, okay. Now, anything above that for anyone?
Domain range is slightly greater than last one, right?
Yep. Yep. Okay, anything else? Anybody else got a 1 that they don't? Jeshin? Wait, just let me put a star by it. That one I need to talk about. That one I need to talk about. Jeshin? Discrete and continuous data. Right there. Anybody else? Everybody else is a 2 or at least a 2 down this whole row? Dependent and independent variable. Does that cover everybody's 1s? I imagine a few of you have a 2 on one of these as well, so that will be fine. Garlene? Second last one. Sketch a graph. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, let's start at the top. Independent and dependent variables. Jimmy, if you're having trouble with that, just think about the variable that's the same for everybody. That's the independent variable. Okay? So let's say you need to graph your growth, your height, versus your age. You with me? So it would look like this, right? Okay, now what would be down here? This is where your independent variable goes. So what are the 2 things you're counting? Your age and your height, correct? Which of those do I have? Do I have an age or do I have your height? Do I have an age? Do you have an age? Excellent. When we were born, do you think we were the exact same height? Did we have the exact same age? When I was born, I was 0. I don't know about you. So we both have an age, yes? What about Vikram? Does he have an age? What about his height? Is it the same as yours? No, but he's got an age, doesn't he? So what is the independent variable? Age, because you all have an age. Doesn't matter what we're graphing, you all have an age. Got it? That will get you through. It's not the best definition, but it will get you from a 1 to a 2.5. Because 99 times out of 100, that definition will be correct. Cool? Now the real definition is one of them, the dependent variable, depends on the other one, right? If I told you that my child was 2 and my nephew was 14, who's taller? The nephew or my child? The nephew. Why? Because he's 14. He's older. His height depends on how long he's been growing. Understand? Okay. You good? All right. Discrete or continuous? I think that was Jeshen, right? Okay. If it's continuous, every possible value for both variables is available. So we'll go to age versus height again, okay? Do I get born and then disappear for a year? No, I'm alive for that whole year, yes? Do I have a height at every possible millisecond of that time? So that's continuous. Okay? Now let me give you this one. Age versus years you've been driving. Have you been able to have a driver's license from 0 to 16? No. So would it be a straight line? No, because you cannot drive. There are no inputs previous to 16. Now what if your sister waits till she's 18? Will her graph start where your graph did? No. So it's discrete. Understand? I'll give you another example. I like to eat... I need a very tiny candy. Nerds. You know what a nerd is? Those little tiny candies? But I'm only allow myself to eat 10 nerds a day. Okay? So over the course of 5 days, I'm going to eat 50 nerds, right? So here's my graph. Day is down here because you have a day, I have a day. Here are the nerds. I'm allowed to eat 10 a day and 10 only. So on day 1, how many nerds did I eat? 10. And I only ate 10 nerds. So there cannot be a line here. Because if this line was here, it would say that in half a day, I would have eaten 5 nerds. But you have no idea when I ate the nerds. The end of the day, I ate 10 nerds. So it's 10. What's the next one going to be? 20. And I can't connect the line because at 1.5 days, I didn't eat 50 nerds. What if I ate one nerd when I first woke up in the morning and then didn't eat another one until 11:59 that night? Then there would be no input between the two. Understand? Does that help? Are you good? Okay, so you're at least a 2 now? Sweet. Oh, well, that's domain and range, which I'm got to right now. So, Charlotte specifically asked about the greater than, less than. So that is the set version of domain and range, yes? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get some graph paper out. I should have some. Son of a motherless goat. That's a pain. Okay. I got to find some graph papers. Got to be some on this sheet somewhere. Okay. This'll do. So, on this graph that I have right here, which I'm going to zoom in on. Okay. So, domain, I will, as always, draw red. Range, I will draw blue. Domain is the independent variable, yes? Domain is also written on the x-axis. So in this graph, here is my domain, correct? Everyone agree? All right, so now I look. The domain is every value of x that is on the graph. So this line goes through all of these x's, doesn't it? So, since it starts at 0 with an open dot, my domain starts at 0, and since there's an open dot, it can equal 0. So I have to put 0 is less than, not x, because I'm counting hours, right? 0 is less than hours, which automatically means hours have to be greater than 0, yes? Okay. Now, the journey ends just past 9 hours, yes? For illustrating purposes, I'm going to say it ends at 9 hours. And that's when I stop riding my snowmobile. Do I get to 9 hours? Yeah. So my hours are also less than or equal to 9. All right? Now, if this dot were open, there would be no equal sign. Because that means I can't even get quite to 9 hours. Okay? My snowmobile dies at 8 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Cool? So that explains the greater than less than. Are you good? Charlotte? Yeah? If the 0 dot was an open dot, then I wouldn't have an equal sign there. An open dot means no equal sign at that value. Now, everybody good? Range, of course, is the same thing. My lowest range is right here when I have 5 liters of gas, yes? My highest range is when the tank is full at 30. So my range is 5 less than or equal to liters less than or equal to 30. Cool? Pardon me? It can be 0 if I emptied the tank. But I didn't empty the tank. Yeah. No, my fault. I got eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously that was the principle. I need a moment. Carry on. Go back to your review. If something's been sorted out for you, and we'll be back to this in like 2 seconds. Okay? The review is on 182, yep.
And does it end at 184 or 185?
Yo.
Okay, so here for this question, are we supposed to change this into like a 1 minute?
I would put that to hours. Because then, 15 times 4, it's easy to do in your head.
So you would just multiply both by 4?
Of course. Because that's a quarter of an hour, right? You could do it to minutes, though. That's not wrong. That's not wrong to do it to minutes. But usually we give speeds in hours, right? And 8 kilometers an hour is a lot easier than 2 divided by 15 kilometers per minute, right? That's not the point, man. Don't lawyer ball yourself.
I just feel like this is printed weird.
Yeah?
So
Oh,
it's
crap.
just like printed.
No. No, this is right, but I think there might be a mistake. Just let me check something. No, it's right. Yeah, these letters work with these 4.
Okay.
Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the 5 choices at the bottom of page 182 are the 5 choices for the 4 questions at the top of page 183. Okay? It did print weird, but it would have made a whole extra page for, like, It was a pain.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only reason.
Okay.
Thank you, though. All right, back to business. So, Charlotte and everybody else, if you can do this, you all can do the interval, yes? Right? If there's an equal sign, it's square bracket 530. If there's not an equal sign, for example, the tank doesn't quite hold 30 liters. It's like, 29.8 liters, then you would not include 30 if it doesn't quite get to it. Cool? Now, that covers the first part. Now, Erlen asked a second question about domain and range, which was when you use a union. So I'm going to try to make the same graph work. Okay, so no, because I can't really use the same graph. All right, so let me try and think of a way to actually draw a graph that would have to use a union that isn't a fake math question. Because when it's a fake math question, you guys have a little more trouble with that. But, well, maybe I'll show you on a fake math question, one of these. Where's the one that had a union? Where's the one that had a union? Yeah, that's not quite good enough. I want it to have two unions. Okay, so I'm going to change this number 3 right here, so there has to be a union. Okay? Okay. Black's kind of hard to see. Let's just make it pink. Okay. Can everybody see I now have 2 lines on here? Okay. And I'm going to change this arrow to being a closed dot, and I'm going to make this one an open dot. Now this will cover any and all questions about domain and range, okay? These are both closed dots. So, the domain is the x values, right? So I look on the x-axis only. I can see I start right there with a closed dot. Everybody agree? And the graph goes to there with a closed dot. Everybody agree? So that part is -6 less than or equal to x less than or equal to -3. Everybody understand that part? Now, there's nothing here, is there? There's no line in here, is there? The line starts again here with an open dot. So that is -1, no equals, because it's an open dot, and it goes all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's a closed dot, so it equals 8. So because there are two separate groups of domain, I must do a union. Ah!
Wait, you said there's two separate groups of this.
Yes. So it was -1 less than x less than or equal to 8. Good? Yeah? Now, let's do range. Range starts down here, yes? It's supposed to be blue. We're just going to wait a second while my computer wakes up. Range is down here, yes? It goes to there, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -7 less than or equal to y, less than or equal to -5. Union starts again right here. -3 less than or equal to y, and it goes all the way up past here to here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, less than or equal to 5. And I have to union because I have these gaps in my drawing. Good? All right, go. You'll come back to continue working on this review. Back to the list. So we got, everyone's cool with domain and range now? Ish, you're at least at a 2. Okay. And function notation. Algebra shouldn't be a problem, because algebra is the same as the algebra you've been doing all the way along, right? If I do this, y equals 2x plus 5, and I tell you that x equals 3, how will you tell me what y is? Everywhere you see x, you will write a 3. So y will equal 2 times 3 plus 5. Y will equal 11. Now, if x is 3 and y is 11, and I have a graph, I'm going to put a dot at 1, 2, 3, 3, 11. Cool? Everybody's cool with that, right? Okay. Function notation just takes the y and makes it f of x. Otherwise, it is the exact same thing. Now, x is 3. So I don't write f of x, I write f of 3. That 3 goes into x, which now substitutes in over here. Cool? Everybody cool? Now, the problem you guys have is this. When I reverse it. So go back to this as y. Now, if I tell you that y equals 13, how will you tell me, what will you do with that knowledge? You put a y, 13, where you see a y. You are all seeing these lines disappear, right? Okay. And you will then tell me what x is, right? By doing -5, 8 equals 2x, divide by 2, x equals 4. Now, if x equals 4 and y is 13, put it on a graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up to 13. Cool? Everybody cool? All right. Now, remember, instead of saying y now, we write f of x. And instead of saying y equals 13, we now would say f of x equals 13. That's not frustrating at all. F of x equals 13. Now, when it was a y, you put 13 in where you saw a y. Well, now, f of x is 13. Isn't that f of x? So it equals 13. Then we do the same algebra. Good? That's algebra. When we do it on a graph, it's slightly different. Let's find a graph on which to work. It doesn't need a calculator to do that. You're not supposed to touch it with a calculator. Yeah, like this is all wrong. That is all wrong. That is the first step of 5.
Okay.
That is the first step of 5. Oh, wait. Yeah, first step of 5. Okay, so here is a line, yes? Everyone agree? Actually, that's not a very good one. Let's find a better one. This one will do better. Okay. Here is a function, yes? We know it's a function. So, if I tell you that I want the f of negative 5. Now, what should normally be written there? If I am not asking you for anything specific, it should be the f of x, right? But now x is negative 5, right? Where on this graph is negative 5? X. Right here, correct? And I'll change color so it's better to see. This is negative 5. But I only have the x value, don't I? I need the y value because every point has 2 parts. Here is the point where x is negative 5. What's the y value? Negative 1. So the f of negative 5 is negative 1. You cool? Okay. Now, if I change this around, the f of x equals 4. Now, do I know the x value? No, but do I know a y value? Yes, it is 4. So now all I got to do is find the x value where this line hits 4, which is right there, yes? So it is negative, so the f of 4, the f of negative 2 equals 4. You good? Now the only time this causes trouble is if I were to ask you for the f of x equals 3. Where's that? Right here, correct? But notice it hits there and there. So there's that x value and that x value. Got it? So it would be negative 1 and negative 3. So, but you wouldn't write it that way because that's how you would write a graph, right? It would be x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 3. Cool?
The first x one, like see how since you have 2 x values variables, you just always write the first one that comes out.
Yeah. Jesse. Yep, sure. So this one would be negative 1, 3, right? Negative 1, 3. And this one would be negative 3, 3. Because the output, the f of x, was 3. And I know that the f of x is actually a y value. Cool? Everybody cool? This is the coolest class ever. Although according to Trinity, it's cold. It's so cool. Because she is actually sitting there shivering, even though it's 1 billion degrees in here. You don't want to see any more of me than this. I am cooking hot. If I was able to, I would build some sort of unsee-through screen and be sitting here in a Speedo. Exactly. See? Now it's in your head. No, but to be fair, Charlotte and everybody else, if you were to feel my computer here, it's uncomfortably hot. Like my hand, it's like, you know when you put a stove on low to cook rice? It's like that warm off my computer. And that heat, cook rice, what? You don't put rice in a microwave? No, you actually, never mind. Huh? Oh my gosh. Rice is so much better cooked in a pot. Yeah. Ask the Indo-Canadian families. They know how to cook rice. Basmati is my second favorite. I don't like using a rice cooker unless you buy a super expensive rice cooker. If you buy a super expensive rice cooker, it does a really good job. But if you buy a regular rice cooker, then it almost always burns the first layer of rice. So you get this nice, you get like a crispy shell of rice. And if you do it just right, you can turn it out like a sandcastle. Which is kind of cool if you like that crispy rice. There's a particular restaurant in Phoenix, Arizona that I go to where they take regular rice that's nice and soft and they put it in a clay pot. And they press it into the clay pot, and then they put it on the fire. That's like 10,000 degrees. And the rice takes the shape of the bowl and gets really hard and crispy. And then they dump the rice out, and they put all your food in the rice bowl, and then you eat the bowl. It's so good. But you want that. When you have a crappy rice cooker, it does that. You don't really want it. Well, no, the bowl, you don't touch the ceramic bowl. They dump the bowl out, and you get like a sandcastle of rice. And then the rice becomes the bowl. Like a waffle cone. Or a bread bowl for soup. Anyways, rice is better when you cook it in a pot. Anyways, how did this even happen? Oh, hot enough to cook rice, yes. And then that thing is also hot, right? So this is giving off heat. It's like being near a fire. And yet, I offer you guys a chance to use the magic pen all the time, and none of you ever do. I have said, who wants the magic pen? Nobody has said. Okay, so 100% of the times I have offered the magic pen, you guys have said no. That's a joke I use on my wife all the time. She's like, you're such a dick. I'm like, yeah, well, what are you going to do, honey? You married me. It's 20 years. You didn't know? Right? Like, big surprise. Anyways. But honestly, it's very, very warm up the front of the room. And also, you'll notice the air conditioning vents are back over you guys. They're not up here. What I really should do is I should make all of you push forward, and I should sit right about where Sophie is and teach from the back of the room. No, I don't use that desk very much. Kids always take that desk. There used to be a comfy desk chair at it, and kids would fight to get that desk, and then they broke my desk chair, and then I was mad at them, and now no one's allowed to sit there. 9, 10, 11. Michael Maine? Maybe Michael Maine. That sounds familiar. How old? I think I may have. I have taught a lot of those people. Then probably not. I used to get a lot of them, and now that I've been here long enough that I'm kind of in the middle of the road, they give newer teachers the pains, and the older teachers that have been here longer get all the great kids. I get the middle group now, which has some of those and some awesome. The problem I face is I am very, 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 very good at separating kid the kid and kid the student. And a lot of you think that teachers can't do that. You think that if the teacher hated me, so they failed me. No. I don't have to like you as a person for you to be able to do math. And I am only grading you on whether or not you can do math. Right? I do not like a whole lot of people in the world. Doesn't mean they're not doing a good job. Right? But You guys have trouble with that. I am also very quick to go to anger when anger is warranted. But once that anger is dealt with, and once that situation is ended, I'm back to normal. And it doesn't build up. Right? Little kids have trouble with me. Because I ask them to do something 5 times and then they don't do it because they're little kids. Right? Because parents have no control anymore. Don't do that. What are you going to do about it? You can't spank them. You can't ground them. You can't do anything. Right? You can't. Parents can't control their kids, and yet we're expected to. So I was at a scout thing, and I was playing Crazy Eights with this little girl. And her brother kept walking over and saying, play that, play that, play that. And I asked him like 4 times not to. My kid asked him 4 times. My wife asked him 4 times. And then he came and did it again. So I said, Jason, go away. You have been asked not to do that. You have not listened. We do not want you around. And then the kid did that thing that kids do when they're in trouble. I didn't know. And I was like, no, Jason. All of us have asked you very nicely to stop that. You do not get to sit there and go, I don't care if that works with your parents. I am not your parent. I don't have to put up with that. Now go away. The kid left. 11. The kid left. And then, no, I don't know if he cried because I don't care. Because I gave him ample time. In the real world, he wouldn't have had that much time. If a cop pulled you over for speeding 18 times, do you think he would let you get away with it? No. So anyway, we finished the game, and Jason's sulking over in the woods. Hey, Jason, you want to come play? Okay. So he comes and he plays, and every time he did something, oh, good play, Jason, that's a nice move. Back to normal. And everything was fine for the rest of the trip. Because I don't remember your past errors. I will always give you a chance to fix the future. Just like I would appreciate that from everybody in my life. But I don't get it. Right? Because I'm a bit of an a-hole. And people remember it. What? Some kid that was at this scout camp. Why? My brother-in-law's named Jason. My brother-in-law's named Jason. He's a good guy. My best friend in grade 12 was named Jason. I know. I have names like that. I have never, ever, 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 ever in my life, not counting kids, like in my personal life, met a Mason that I like. I have never met a Tyler that I like. Now, there are people I know that may have a nickname, and maybe their name is Tyler, and I don't know. But of the people I know that are called Tyler, I have never met one that I like. And I've never met a Mason that I don't like. And what's funny about Mason is I've met many male and female Masons. And I have not liked any of them. Kids are different. I don't count with kids because names get fashionable and non-fashionable. Like in the 60s, all the rich people named their kids things like Brittany and Tiffany. And then those names became not so fancy, right? Right? Those names became, oh, Tiffany, that's, what do you do for your spare time type of name, right? And then it'll change back the other way, right? Because that's how names go in fashion, right? In the 50s, Tiffany was rich people's name, so poor people had babies. I want my baby to have good names like the rich people. Tiffany. There's a whole chapter in a book called Freakonomics about it, which was also made into a movie. There is an interesting correlation between your name and your success in the world. So, yes. But correlation doesn't necessarily prove causation. From that book of which I am speaking, which works with math, so I don't mind talking about it, the 2 experimenters made 2,000 resumes that were exactly the same. One guy got the name John Matheson. The other guy got the name Tyrone Power or something. All right? Now, John Matheson is a Wonder Bread, white bread name. Tyrone is not. They sent the 2,000 resumes out into the world. John Matheson got something like 70% more responses than Tyrone, even from the same company. They sent the exact same resume to the same companies, only changing the name. So all the qualifications were the same. And John Matheson received more responses based solely on his name. It's not right, is what it is. But it's true. Right? And then everybody says, well, that's how white people always are. That's not true either. When my grandfather arrived in Canada, he, being Irish, had the last name O'Farrell. Everybody knew he was Irish. Now, if you've studied any of Canadian history, you know that instead of signs in Montreal saying no Jews, no blacks, no other races, the signs in Montreal said, help wanted, no Irish need apply. The Irish people in North America have been treated just as badly as many other groups, even though they're white. But nobody talks about that because Irish people are white. But my grandpa, who ended up working for the Canadian Army and training people to go and fight, could not find work because his name was O'Farrell. So his name was O'Farrell because Irish people have the O in front of their name, like O'Shaughnessy, O'Brien, right? He had to drop the O and change his accent so he could get work. So yes, names matter. And that's also why names change. My name, what does it mean? Matthew means gift of the Lord. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Everybody is like, oh, I'm having a baby. Yay. Such a precious gift. Oh. My kid is named after a character on a TV show from the 80s because I thought it was a cool name. And it's also a James Bond villain. St. John. And my daughter is named Bethany because I wanted to have I liked the name Beth, but I didn't want to name her Elizabeth because I didn't want her to get Lizzie because I don't like that. I had a cat named Lizzie. I didn't want my daughter to get Lizzie or Betty or Liz. I wanted her to be Beth. But I don't believe in one-syllable names because when you're mad at the kid, a one-syllable name isn't satisfying enough. Zach! It's no good. Right? Zachary! And then I gave my kid... Oh, it's Zachariah, isn't it? Yeah. Zachariah! Even better. And then I gave my kids 2 middle names so I could really lay into them. Sigrid Xavier Charles Myers! Oh, Bethany Brianna Isabel Myers! Oh. But I didn't realize when I was filling out my son's birth certificate, Xavier Charles Xavier. Everybody thought I was a comic book nerd, but I'm not. My middle name is Charles, and my wife just liked the name Xavier. And more importantly, my son's initials are SXC, Myers. Say that fast. Sexy Myers. Which I think is awesome. So my son's a good-looking cat. So I showed my grade 11 class last year his headshot that he uses for acting, and one of the girls is like, "How old is he?" 13. I'll wait. What? The real reason I don't go to these places is because it's because I have 4 people in my family. Kids are expensive. Flying to India, as most of you probably know, is very expensive. Huh? What, they don't want me in the country? There's 1 billion people in the country. They wouldn't even notice me. Trust me. Anyways, that's why I don't go to these places, because everything you want to do, you have to times it by 4. Right? Now, although, as I understand, accommodations in India are cheap. So being a teacher, I have 2 months off. What I would do, and this is what I'm doing in Ecuador in August. We're flying at the beginning of August, and we're staying the entire month because we're teachers. So we have the time off. So it's no big deal to spend $4,000 to fly there if you're going to stay the whole month. But I wouldn't want to spend $4,000 to fly there to stay for a week, right? And the place we're staying in Ecuador is cheap. Same with India, I would assume. It might cost $6,000 to get there, but when you stayed, it would be. See? I would do that. I would love that. I think it'd be wicked. What? Huh? Yeah, I'm aware of that's not just India, man. Most of the police in the world, you can bribe them. It doesn't take much. It works on every cop in the world, except like Canada, North America, Britain, Australia. Most other countries have corrupt police forces. Some of them. What? Yes, I know. The rest of the world makes kids learn more than one language because the rest of the world is smarter than us. Dutch people can speak 4 languages and they're allowed to smoke dope. And yet they still have 4 languages in their head. Us? French? Whatever! Who could possibly learn French? That's impossible! And Zach is going, yep. 4 languages. All right, let's do math. All right, on a graph, what represents 2 things that are changing in the same rate? It's got to be a straight line, right? I need straight line to get the whole mark. Sure. A graph whose points are not connected is discrete. A graph of continuous data has no space between the points. Now, by the way, class, you were the first class I have ever had that has not come to me and said, there's 7 choices and 6 questions. How do I do it? I'm not kidding. 20 years of teaching, and this sentence has not been seen by most of my students. So, congratulations, all of you. Good job. So, go. What do we got? D. Go. A. Yeah, you know it, brother. F. Woo, doggy. C. Woo-hoo-hoo. B. E. Now I got to check. D is right. A is right. F is right. C is right. B is right. E is right. Oh, good job, everybody. How many people have 9 out of 9? Sweet. I'm going to reward myself for being such a good teacher with a mouthful of salad. All right. 6 or 7. 7 is C. 8 is E. 9. A. -2 to 4. A. And 10 is B. Who wants to know about one of those? Because somebody always asks.
Number 9.
Okay. Number 9. Domain is on the x-axis. There it is. -2 to 4. A, -2 to 4. Range on the y-axis. -5 to 4. -5 to 4. Anybody else? 10. 10. All real numbers, all real numbers. So, can I put any number in the universe in for x. Because whatever number I put in there, can I divide it by 2? Can I then add 6 to that number? So it's every single number in the universe. If every single number in the universe can go in there, then every single number in the universe must be available for an answer. Right? Now somebody says, okay then, why is 7 C? Because 7 says x is everything, but y has to be greater than or equal to negative 4. Why is that? Because of the squared. When x is 0, 0 minus 4 is negative 4, correct? Right? But if I make x negative 2, negative 2 squared is positive 4, right? So even if x gets negative, y has to be bigger than negative 4. It will never go below. Because you can't, once you go into negatives, this part is still positive. Describe a scenario. Again, you can get lots of marks here, right? That 4-point scale. For 1, she rode away, then came back. 1 mark, right? You understand a distance-time graph. She went away, she came back. That will get you 1 on the 1 to 4 scale. 2, you want a 2. She rode away, sped up, went home, came back. Where's the speed up? Right there, right? 3. She rode away for 15 minutes, then sped up, then turned back. Right? 4, she rode away at 8 kmh, then sped up to 6 and 15. Is that 15 minutes? 15 minutes, and she covered 4K. Sped up to 16 kmh. Went home at 6 and 20. Went home at 18 kmh. Does everybody understand the levels there? Everybody? Okay. You give yourself a mark out of 4. Where do you think you fit in? And all the half marks are available. So let's say you did number 4, but you didn't go to kmh. You said 2 kilometers in 15 minutes. That would get you 3.5. Everybody cool? A, linear or nonlinear? A, this one. Linear or nonlinear? Linear. Y, over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2. Changes are constant. 1 mark for yes or no, 1 mark for the reason. B, linear or nonlinear? Non-linear. Y, exponent. 2 marks there. Tricky. How do you decide if this one's linear or nonlinear? You make a t-chart or a table of values, which is what I call them. So, put them in order. -2, 1, 4, 10. 5, 3, 1, -3. Goes down by 1. Goes up by 3, plus 3, minus 2. Right? What about this one? Is that plus 3 again? Is that minus 2? Yep. What about this one? That's plus 6. What's this? Minus 4. Is it linear? Yes. Why? 3 doubles to 6, 2 doubles to 4. What number would be in the middle here? Should be 7 and 2. 7 and, -1. Does everybody understand that? This question a lot of kids get wrong. Does everybody understand it? Everybody? Okay.
Instead of writing out a t-table, I wrote a linear equation.
Yep, that works too. Yep, doesn't matter. However you prove it, it's out of 2. Making that page out of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 is 8, and 6 is 14. First page was out of 9. The domain and range of this on a number line. What's the domain? X's or Y's? X's. And I do my domains red. There, 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 there. Put it on a number line. What's the first value? 0. Then 1. Then 2. Then 3. That's the domain on a number line. What's the range? -2, 0, 2, 4. -2, 0, 2, 4. If you didn't actually put it on a number line, you just wrote it out, still take a full mark. Set notation. Set notation is the greater than less than. Which of these is IV, which is DV? DV equals R, wrong. IV equals R, DV equals Y. What numbers can I not have for a radius? I can't have 0. If my circle has a 0 radius, it doesn't exist. So I can't have 0, so I can't be equal 0. But I can be anything greater than 0, can't I? Then radius. What's the biggest radius I could have, theoretically? What's the biggest circle I could draw, theoretically? Infinite, right? So that is set notation. I will never get to infinity. Or I could write R has to be greater than 0. Both of those would be acceptable. Everybody cool? Then the domain or the range. What's the smallest area a circle can have? But it won't quite get to 0, right? So my range, 0 less than y, what will it go up to? What's the biggest area of a circle I would theoretically have? Infinite. Or y has to be greater than 0. The point here is you can't have them equal 0. That's what I'm looking for here. Because you have to actually understand that if there's a radius, it's got an area. And you can't have a radius that doesn't exist. And you can't have a negative radius. And finally, you just list them. The domains are the x's. -2, 1, 4, 10. The ranges are the y's. How do I write the range properly? Smallest first. So, -3, 1, 3, 5. What do I have to remember when I'm writing this way? Is that a pair on the graph? No. Because this is only the domains, this is only the ranges. Is everybody good? Okay, give yourself a mark, 1 on each of those. So, what's the equation here? I showed you in your notes how to make an equation. What are the 2 things we're counting? We're counting cost and games, right? Games has to be independent because how much you pay depends on how many games you bowl, right? When I walk into a bowling alley, have I bowled any games yet? 0 games. When I walk up to the bowling alley, do I need to be wearing shoes? So have I paid $2.50? Have I paid $3? So I pay $3. If I bowl one game, have I rented my shoes? $3 plus how much? $2.50. 2 games, have I paid $3? Plus how many 250s? 2 250s. 3 games? 3 250s. What about X is the number of games bowled? What about X games? X games.
Do you watch those?
Sometimes, depending on the event. Come on in, gentlemen. Depending on the event that I choose or that is being shown, I will watch them. I don't watch a lot of the motorcycle events because the motorcycle does a lot of the work in those things. I think. I know it takes skill to do it. I'm not saying I could hop on a bike like Travis Pastrana and jump over the fountain. I couldn't do that. But I can ride a motorcycle. So I feel I could probably learn to jump over the fountain on a motorcycle. Whereas I will never be able to pedal a BMX bike fast enough to do that. Ever. I would never be able to ride a mountain bike down the mountains that those guys ride. Because I'm too scared to learn. It's got nothing to do with whether I can or can't. I'm too scared to even try. So what about X Games? Do I pay the $3? Plus what? 250 times X. So what's the equation? Cost equals 2.5x plus 3 to get 1 mark. Is it a function? You get 1 mark for yes or no. Is that a function? Yes. Why? Every time I play a game, does the cost change? Will it ever be the same? No. Because each input, which is a game, gets a new output. 1 mark for the equation, 2 marks for the definition, and 1 mark for how much it costs Angela to bowl 4 games, which is how much? $13. Making that page out of 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah? All right. Alaric and Carlinda. Because just in case, some of you may be German and feel better that Alaric is flying in his hot air balloon. Because if you were German, you would be sad and not want to do this question if the name was Joe. Joe, which line is Alaric? Is he the bottom line or the top line at the beginning? Bottom line, because his balloon is closer to the ground. Nice drawing, Myers. And that makes the green line. Nice drawing, Myers. Carlinda. What's the initial height of each balloon? How far off the ground is my man Alaric? 10. How far off the ground is Milady Carlinda? 30. Yeah? 1 mark. Half mark each. How fast is each balloon rising? Now, we can do some work here, right? So let's check. Red balloon in 2 minutes goes up how far? Goes from 10 to 40, right? So the red balloon goes 30 meters in 2 minutes. Correct? The green balloon goes 10 meters in 1 minute. If you have that, that's perfectly acceptable. How could you make it better? What would you do to the red one? divide by 2. So the red one, you could have it at 15 meters per minute. Right? You could also multiply them both by 60 and get their meters per hour. But that doesn't make much sense, does it? Okay? When are they at the same height? Go for Myers. Oh, yeah. Yep, I got them. Thanks. Okay, bye. They're at the same height. Right here. 70 meters. What's the time? 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Or something like that. Because you can't tell exactly, can you? Now wait, Zach. Going from the graph, can you tell exactly? No, you can't, can you? But from algebra, you can tell exactly, can't you? Because in algebra, you know they're at the same height at 70 minutes, right? You know how fast the balloons are moving. These times, yes? So you can use algebra to work out when it exactly is, and I think it's 4 minutes, 20 seconds, but I can't exactly remember. I haven't done the math. But how you do it is, okay, I need to know when 15 meters per minute will equal 10 meters per minute, when they'll be at the same height, right? So the first guy, Alaric, is going up at 15 meters, right? Plus, Alaric was the green one, right? Oh, I forgot, it's right here. H equals 15t plus 10, and H equals 10t plus 30, right? I need the H's to be equal, so what do I need these two equations to be? Equal. So if I move this equation over here, I can use algebra to figure it out, can't I? Letters on one side. 5t equals 20, so t equals 4. So it's exactly 4. Everybody cool? So that's out of 1 again, and that's out of 2. And lastly, we are flying from Toronto to Rome because we're lucky. We're lucky in 2 ways. We're lucky in one, we're going to Rome, and we're lucky in another way because we're getting out of Toronto. I don't like Toronto very much. Are any of you Torontonian? None of you are from Toronto? But you're not, I asked you, are you from Toronto? No. You're from Toronto? You're from Brampton? I don't mind Brampton. But when you say Brampton, when you say where you're from, Sale, do you say I'm from Brampton or do you say I'm from Toronto? You say Brampton? That's okay then. It's kind of like when people who live in Surrey say, oh, I'm from Vancouver. You're not. You're from Surrey. Or people from Port Moody. Where are you from? Vancouver. No, you're from Port Moody. The reason Huh? No, but yes, you should be proud of where you're from. Or you shouldn't lie. I was born in Vancouver, in real Vancouver. I grew up there until I was 15. But the only reason I got to live there is my grandpa had a house there. We were way too poor to live in Vancouver, even then. We would have been living like in a shack down by the river if it wasn't for my grandpa. We were poor. Yeah, crazy poor. But my grandpa wasn't, and he let us live there. What? 49th and Oak. Pardon me? Do I like Vancouver now? I like visiting. I don't like the fact that if I wanted to live there, I would have to buy a condo for almost $1 million, even for a condo. If I could lift my house up in Chilliwack and take it to Vancouver and drop it on a lot in Vancouver, my house would be worth $4 million. My house is a piece of crap. That bothers me. And the other thing that bothers me, people saying, we have to fix it. Nobody can afford to live in Vancouver. So don't live there. Move. Nobody has a right to live where they want. You live where you can afford. That's why I don't live in Vancouver. What? What? Your dog is from where? Toronto? Your dog might be a nice person, but I don't like his town. Because everybody I've met from Toronto acts like nothing else in Canada matters except Toronto. That bothers me. Yeah. They also have that weird Canadian accent. They say Toronto. Yeah, I don't like that. If I have to choose a city in Canada to live that isn't Vancouver because I love the ocean and skiing and stuff, I would live in Montreal. Montreal is a wicked town. Montreal is my favorite town. Actually, I've been to many cities in the world. Montreal is a top 10. What?
Why do half the people say that they Vancouver is just
Because if you say you're from Pitt Meadows to somebody from London, they're not going to know where that is. So people say Vancouver.
Yeah.
That's why they do it.
well, half people say because they want to look good.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that's
You're crazy in the head. The graph represents a cartoon character just sneezed in the bathroom. Did you hear that?
yeah.
It was actually achoo. Who actually sneezes like that? Cartoon characters and that person. Flight from T.O. to Rome. I've been to Rome. It's a fun town. Domain and range. What's the domain? Jimmy, what's the domain? 0. Less than or equal to. H. 9. Could I write that in interval notation? What would it be? Square bracket 0, comma, 9, square bracket. That's the domain. What's the range? What's the range? 0, less than or equal to. Kilometers, less than or equal to. 7,200. Because it says right there, when time is 0, what's left? 7,200. And lastly, when the plane is 3,900 kilometers from Rome, so there's 4,000. We want to be a little lower than 4,000. We need the time, which is a little past 4. So if you use the graph, it's 4 hours and a bit. So the nearest hour is 4 hours. Could you do it algebraically? Yes, because D equals 7,200 minus 800t. Do I have a D or a T there? $3,900 kilometers is a T. How much time's left in math class? Oh, about 3,000 kilometers. I'll give you another chance. Is it a D or a T? Nice, buddy. First try, just like Lego Batman. So, 3,900 equals 7,200 minus 800t. You subtract 7,200 from both sides, then you divide by 800. And then you get an exact answer. Is everybody good? Oh, that's at a 1. That's at a 2. That's at a 1. So that's at a 4. 4. So that last page is out of 8. So 8 and 7 is 15. And 14 is 29. And 9 is a 38. Give yourselves a mark out of 38. When will you tell me that, Mark?
Next test.
Which is what day? Monday. Those of you who were not here for this, it will be omitted for you. I would recommend watching the video.
What's it out of?
38. By my count, am I wrong?